Yes.
But the victim in last week's case was not a student, is that correct?
No, I think that is correct. The victim from the 7th was not a student. It was somebody visiting, and if I'm correct, and I would have to double check on that for you, but I'm understanding not a student, but the one last night was definitely a student.
So if you had a warrant out for him, it sounds like you knew, even if he wasn't a student, you kind of had an idea of who he was. Can you tell us at all about how that came about?
Yeah, and again, it was great investigative work by our department. We had some really good, we have a lot of good cameras around here, and we were able to get them on camera in the actual building where that assault occurred last week. And when we did that, we were able to, through the miracle work that they do, figure out that he was actually the suspect in the case.
How concerning is it that, we've had the same person commit crimes at the same spot, multiple, just within a week of each other? How concerning is that?
Well, it's extremely concerning, especially, I'm a dad who has a child at App State, so I can relate absolutely 100%. And so it is concerning. Now, the thing that makes me happy is that we were able to very quickly identify who the person was, and we were very quickly able to, detain them. And especially it's because of the working relationship that we in Raleigh and Wake County helped us with the canine track last night. So through that great collaboration is really how this crime got solved, by all of us working together for a common goal.
Did he have any connection to the university that you know of?
Again, I'd have to double check on that.
Right now it's unknown.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you are right. Last night's victim was a student, the one from last week. They were not affiliated.
Yeah, that's what I think.
This happened right down the street from the police department on campus. You know just how brazen one would have to be to obviously commit this crime to begin with, but so close to where these are based here.
Yeah, and that is assuming he knew we even had a police department and it was here. But it's a public campus. We constantly have people come in and off from Raleigh. Now we're luckily most of the time we're fairly insulated. Really for the some of the crime that happens around us, we tend to be really insulated. So, and for that we're grateful. But the other part of that same argument is that people tend to be complacent and they forget. The one that happened last week, the suspect actually what we call tailgated in. So somebody went open the door, somebody walked in right behind him. The suspect did. So that happens a lot on this campus. So that's where we ask our students, faculty and staff for that matter, and visitors, to please don't let anybody in that doesn't have an ID card to get in, unless it's a public space, of course. But those are some of the things that we recommend. And then the other thing is just be ever vigilant. Always have a plan when leaving your residence to go to your car or whatever it is. Pick a good path, pick a lighted path, walk with a friend, even get on the phone and call somebody. So you're on the phone talking to somebody to let them know this is what you're doing before you do it. Just have a plan in place.
Do you know how many sexual assaults you've had reported this semester? It seems like there's been a few in just the last couple of weeks. And what is the campus doing to step up security to make students feel safer?
Well, I think we're trying to be ever vigilant in working the campus, identifying people that just are out of place. Again, it's a public campus, so it's just really hard to pick and who is out of place and who isn't. But we really try to work hard. If something just doesn't look right, there's nothing that stops us from getting out, stopping, talk to somebody, and saying, hey, what's going on, and ask. Doesn't mean they have to give us information, but that's what we really try to do. We try to be very proactive in doing that. As far as how many, I couldn't answer right at the moment. I'd have to actually look it up and get you that information.
I know you mentioned the university is largely insulated. These are happening close to the edge of campus where theoretically someone can run off and it becomes more difficult where you have to have multiple agencies involved. Can you walk us through the collaboration you do have with Raleigh Police, especially when you're on the edge of campus near Gorman Street, when it comes to just kind of establishing a presence, whether it's with NC Police or NC State Police or Raleigh Police?
Yeah, we got a really good working relationship. Our jurisdiction technically ends at the middle of the street and the streets that surround us, and any campus, any property that we own or lease. But we actually have a expanded mutual aid agreement with the city of Raleigh. So we actually, for certain things, have citywide jurisdiction, so we're able to go out and assist them and they assist us. But we have a really collaborative relationship. Really work hard together to work on all kinds of things, especially things like this. And both ones that they have that may bleed over on us and that we have that bleed over on them. We really try to work together. A lot of times you'll see that. We had a series of catalytic converter thefts. Well, we had a handful, Raleigh had a ton. So working together, we were able to get closer to solving those crimes.
Can you walk me through some of what happened last night with this arrest? You said that there was a canine involved. How did this all come about? Who was the arresting agency, and where did this happen?
Yes, absolutely. So we had requested, because we requested canines from whoever was available. The only one that was available last night was Wake County Sheriff's Office, and this is a tracking canine. There's different type of canines. We have some here, but ours are bomb dogs. They're not tracking dogs. So we had requested one, and Wake County was the one that provided it. So Wake County went from the location where it happened and tried to follow the track to try to find them. That track was unsuccessful, and it turns out it was just the length and distance that the person went. And because of the traffic that ran over the path that the suspect walked. But it was Raleigh Police Department, and again, it was just some great work by those officers, because we had a bolo that we sent out last week, so they were armed with that, and they're armed with a description today, or last night, early this morning. And they went out and were able to identify the subject, find them, verify that it was indeed the person we had the warrants on. It was just great work. They just did a good job. And it was located, it was off campus, about 2 miles. I forget the name of the road.
I think it's
Yeah, it's Oak Lane or Oak something to that effect.
There were some communicating threats charges, apparently saying he was going to kill everybody. Was that a threat directed at officers? Do you know what that's about?
From what I'm understanding, that was threats towards the Raleigh Police Department when they went to arrest him. I can't say for sure, but that's what my understanding is.
And do you have any suspicion that he could be involved in any other sexual assaults or any other crimes here at NC State?
It's certainly possible. So we're taking our time to look into anything that we can possibly find. We're looking at a lot of footage just to see where this person had walked on campus, to see if we can find anything else. Of course, if other victims come forward, we would know that as well.
And he didn't know these victims, is that correct?
Correct. But based on what we know, he did not.
Suspect
Did
is
this happen last
not-
night or this morning?
What's that?
Suspect is not affiliated with the university.
Okay.
Did it happen last night or this morning? Tell
Early-
the Wolf Alert was sent out.
It was just after midnight, so probably about 10 after midnight, so technically this morning.
I believe there have been 4 cases this year of sexual assault that were reported from previous semesters, or one case from a couple of years ago. Can you
Yeah.
discuss the importance of victims feeling comfortable speaking up and reaching out to law enforcement?
Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult for us because we understand both layers of it. We understand why a victim does not want to come forward, does not want to go through prosecution, does not want to be re-victimized by that. So we completely 100% understand the victim or our survivor, actually, is what we call them. And we understand where they're coming from. So we get that. But it kind of ties our hands because it really limits us and the criminal justice system from bringing these people to justice.